Richard Oliff on 102.3 HFM. 102.3 HFM.
Wake up, you sip hot tea, mindless music, radio free. You see blue skies and think of sea. How are you doing? And later on, switch on TV. They give me a news, they give half truths to me. They give us wise, they feed us lies. How are we doing? Educate, they fabricate, and we sit back till it's too late. Have you got problems? What are your problems? Bring on the problems straight to me. Trust in me now, 'cause I'm your leader. Don't listen to me now, I'll put you straight. Think of all the promises made to you. Think of all the lies that were going through. I am the light in your darkest hour. Through any crisis, I will be your power. Don't believe all you're told, all you read, all you're taught, all you see. Don't believe all you're told, all you read, all you're taught, all you see. Don't believe. Do what you want, do what you do, what do you want, do what you like. Do what you want, do what you do, what do you want, do what you like. Crisis, I will be your power. Don't believe all you're told, all you read, all you're taught, all you see. Don't believe all you're told, all you read, all you're taught, all you see. Don't believe. Do what you want, do what you do, what do you want, do what you like. Do what you want, do what you do, what do you want, do what you like.
all the way back to 1974 from the McGear album. That is Mike McGear. Mike McCartney to you and me. I'm going to have a chat with Mike in a second, but there's something I have to say. I've got to say this. St. George's Hall in Liverpool is one of the oldest and most iconic venues for public events and exhibitions. And there's someone on the line right now who's got an exhibition there, and it is Mr. Mike McCartney. Hello, Mike.
Mike McGear McCartney.
Mike McGear McFab McCartney. How are you?
That's the way. Listen, it nearly was Mike McFab.
I know it was. I was going to call you Mr. Dangerfield, but I thought I'd avoid that one.
That's it. Oh, you've heard all the stories, Richard.
I have.
By the way, Richard Oliff of HFM 102 and 3, I did notice you have these enormous big billboards as well, Bilbo Baggins, advertising this very same exclusive radio interview you're doing at this second.
Isn't it wonderful?
Unbelievable.
And people all over the world now, they've stopped in the streets.
Yeah.
It's gone quiet.
Well, it's going to go quieter because I've got nothing to say.
Me neither. It's
except
yes.
There is an exclusive exhibition, as you've just mentioned there. Funny you should say that, at the gorgeous St. George's Hall in Liverpool. And as we what day is it today? It's Thursday. Tomorrow, you are not going to believe this, they are going to be printing, I saw the rough sheets, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
They're going to be printing tomorrow 18 postcards from the Mike McCartney Loves St. George's Hall exhibition. How's that?
Well, that's amazing. Mike, I've got to ask you this. How did that happen? This is I should explain, it is genuinely an iconic building, this. It means it's a Grade 1 listed building.
Oh, yeah, I think it's Prince Charles's favourite building. No, that's yeah. And can you imagine as a kid, for the first photograph as you come into the exhibition, I was explaining to Baz, he's a wildlife artist, a very good wildlife artist. I hope to do something with him now about saving elephants' ivory, tusks, etc. I'll talk to you about that exclusive on yours next time. But he came up to Liverpool to see it, and we walked in, and I explained to him, there is the mat of St. George's Hall, and I said, you will see here in beautiful stained glass in the main hall this iconic picture here, and you'll see it on the mat as you go into St. George's Hall, and that's the Liverpool coat of arms with the left and right gentlemen and all the pomp and ceremony, two liver birds quite correctly on our proud emblem. Thank you. And I've just been cutting the garden, you see, that's why I'm all over the world. But that, I've explained to him, as a child, when you're getting the 86 bus into town to go to school and then later on to work, but as a child particularly, because you were right down on the level of that on the bus, adults couldn't see it because they'd see the windows. But
Right.
the kids are always on the side of the green 86 bus was the Liverpool coat of arms. So that's an iconic thing. But the idea of having an exhibition in St. George's Hall, the only time in the old days that I would ever get into St. George's Hall would be in the courts. I'd be sent down and hung and drawn and quartered.
Because that's where they had all the courts as well.
That's what it was. They had two major courts, one for murder and things like that, and the judge would put his curly wig on, put his black
His
top on
curly
top,
wig.
put his black bit on the top of that, and actually sentence people to death.
Oh, God.
Take them down to the pictures of the stairs where they had to go down, but then they weren't never hung in St. George's Hall. They had to go to Walton Jail for that privilege, as I say, in the exhibition. So the only time I'd ever get in there.
So, Mike, listen, can you tell me how did your photographs end up in there at this exhibition? Did someone organise it or ring you up and say, listen, Mike, can we do this?
Now, first of all, Richard, have you been to my Mike McCartney Loves St. George's Hall exhibition?
No, I've only watched it on the internet because you do some brilliant videos. I've seen them.
Yeah. No, but, I mean, what is wrong for you and all your listeners to get on a little train from Harborough and then up to Liverpool? How long would it take you? Seconds.
Yeah, I mean...
So don't just stay down there and loving Harborough and all that.
Yeah.
Get up and come up to Liverpool. But how it happened, well, to answer your question,
Yes.
was the boss of St. George's Hall, a gentleman called Alan Smith, contacted me and said, would you like to do an exhibition at St. George's Hall? I said, of course, what an honour. And put the phone down and thought, oh dear, an exhibition of what?
Did you really think that, Mike? Did you think
you're joking? He just said do an exhibition. I thought, right. Obviously it's easy. I will just do an exhibition of Liverpool and I'll lob a few of St. George's Hall.
Right.
So I started looking for pictures of have I got any pictures of St. George's Hall? And I slowly, this is what is ridiculous about that exhibition.
Yeah.
There's one, there's another one. Oh, it starts in the 60s with a scaffold outside having their first publicity pictures.
So you had pictures of you guys all outside St. George's? You had all that?
Oh, no, that was, we had one publicity picture outside St. George's Hall in the 60s with all our fellow artists like Sam Walsh, Adrian Henry, poets and all that. That was the alternative side to Liverpool. Merseybeat had just exploded, so they came up with the Daily Express. And that actual Daily Express is part of the exhibition. I still got it. I want these terrible hoarders. So that is actually in the exhibition. So they covered the other side of Liverpool. So that's the only time that I've had pictures. And Scaffold having the first publicity pictures taken outside St. George's Hall. Never got inside.
How many pictures are in the exhibition?
There are 60. There are 60 images.
How did you pick that? How did you sit down and go through that lot and think, well, that'll go in?
Well, no, first of all, how did you get 60 of St. George's Hall? And then you suddenly realise, oh, there it was in the garden. One of the very first ones was a young lady in the 60s, early 60s, it would be about 61, 62. A young lady from Dusseldorf called Ursula Milchevsky came over, and I was showing her around Liverpool, and there we are in St. John's Garden, which is the back of St. George's Hall, and I said, I'll sit on the bench there, because at the back here is the Liverpool skyline with our famous Liver buildings, a Liver bird. Took the picture and had it for nearly 50 years. So I decided, that'd be a good idea. I'll go back to exactly the same place, take exactly the same camera, and take exactly the same picture 50 years later. And that is in the exhibition as Spot the Difference.
Spot the Difference, that's superb.
Yeah, and that is in colour. The old one obviously is in black and white, and this other one is, to tell you the truth, you can't actually stand on the same spot because a tree grew in the bit where I used to stand.
Right, isn't that a pain?
And all the trees, there weren't any trees there 50 years later. That you can see all the trees in the background. Luckily, I did it at the fall, when all the leaves are off. When you get all the leaves on, you can't see Liverpool.
You see. Now, that was one of the downfalls. Can I just mention this too? That was one of the downfalls of when they first brought out digital technology for company-to-company telecommunications, because they put all these dishes up, and they thought, oh, that's great. It's got, got what they called line of sight, to the switch or whatever. But in the night, you get things like gasometers coming up, and trees would get leaves on it and block the signal completely.
Yeah.
Thought I'd mention that, Mike, because it seemed rather relevant at the time.
Without that bit of information, I think my day would not have been complete.
It's not complete, no.
I've got to be honest with you.
Absolutely, yeah. Are we done now? Is that it, do you think?
That's it. Should we go home?
Just call it a day, yeah. Should we go down to the pub? You go to it?
At a day, no, I don't drink, Richard, as you well know.
No, me neither.
I just smile a lot.
You have I tell you what's another great word, inane. The inane grin.
Are you looking at me when you say that?
No, of course. Would I do such a thing?
Yes.
So what's going to happen now with this exhibition? How long will it be there?
This one is going to be here not long. It's only a couple of weeks till October the 18th. But Al came round with his video yesterday, and I showed Baz, the great wildlife artist, round the exhibition, and Alan taped it on a video thing. Those things, moving television images, where you actually move, like film, I think they call it, something like that, instead of being still. And so he came out, told all the stories, so that eventually will be on a video or whatever they call them these days. So that is there. They've got a program of the whole 60, which I think you can buy. It's very cheap as well. Far too cheap in my liking. And the postcards, there are 18 of the postcards. So there is going to be a record, a sort of permanent record, because Alan, the boss, said he doesn't want Mike McCartney loves St George's Hall just till October the 18th. He wants it like forever.
Yeah.
And so they're going to have these things. They might even make a video of it, me walking round. And then when it's going to be now the new year, I'm going to do now that's going to be interesting. There's a beautiful concert hall. This place, St George's Hall, is absolutely honest. If you don't get up for the exhibition, sometime in your life, get up to Lime Street Station, get out of Lime Street Station. The first thing you see is this enormous big hall, beautiful hall, and that is called St George's Hall. Go across, and all the stuff that's in there. There are the catacombs downstairs.
Oh, wow.
Which they're now having catacomb tours of these actors that you go around, and they do history of what happened in St George's Hall and what happened in Liverpool history. They bring it to life. It's already sold out. You can't even get on that.
How tremendous.
Absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah.
And all the areas, the great hall there with the Minton tiles, which they let the public see for 1 or 2 weeks, only one time a year. There is the beautiful concert room where I'm going to do my concert next year, where Arthur Conan Doyle read the first reading of Hound of the Baskervilles.
Wow.
And where Charles Dickens used to lecture, apart from the Liverpool Institute High School for Boys, he also lectured in the concert hall, this beautiful gilded concert hall of St George's Hall, and I'm going to be doing my one-man show from the
Mike, can I just ask you about the one-man shows, because the last tour was quite successful, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
And I just wondered if you were going to carry on doing that, but by the sounds of things, you are.
Well, this is just for one-off. We'll see. A lot of people say, when are you coming again? Just to make sure we're out. So, I should think about it. I haven't thought about it now, because we've got quite a few things that I've got to do as well. But at least I'm doing that. Probably be March next year. Okay,
what about music? Have you thought about ever doing any more of that, Mike? Anything?
Oh, blimey. They just asked me that somebody wanted to do a documentary on Lilly The Pink. Can you believe?
Oh, right.
And honestly, that is fascinating. And to redo Lilly The Pink. And I got, well, I suppose I could say it now, couldn't I? Because it's on a back burner now. But I got Peter Kay and Harry Hill interested in, doing verses on a new version of Lilly The Pink for breast cancer, for charity, but that's on a back burner now. So this guy wanted to do a documentary, which is absolutely fascinating. The stories behind Lilly The Pink and Lydia Pinkham, upon who this is based. He's doing this documentary, Knowledge, finding out this lady, Lydia Pinkham, was something like a millionaire because she copyrighted Lydia Pinkham's medicinal compound.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh.
And she made an absolute fortune out of it.
Was she from Liverpool?
No, you're Jewish, American.
Right.
She was American. She was in... Have I told you the story about Martha Reeves and Lydia Pinkham?
Tell me more.
Have you ever heard that?
Go on.
Well, she's in our house. She'd probably been in your house and all your listeners' houses as well. But the time that she came over here to our house for a festive thing, it may be New Year's Eve, something like that, because she took us around the original Motown house, my wife and I, in Detroit, this little house in Detroit, Hitsville I think it was called, where all that extraordinary music came out. Martha was there showing us around the house. The stories from there, ring me back on that. You won't believe the stories.
That's a whole different ball game, isn't it?
Oh my God!
It is.
Honestly, it's so magic. So when she came to this area, I said, "Do you want to come over for a little party?" Oh yeah, sure. So she came to Lime Street, got out, and I said, "We were just going to go to my car." And I said, "Do you know Mr. T?" She said, "I've heard of him. I've seen him on the TV." I said, No, he's in the Empire there. He's in Panto. do you want to meet him? I said, oh, why? Do you know him? I said, no, we'll just go in and I'll say Martha Reeves from Dancing in the Streets and Jimmy Mack is outside. Do you want to meet us? And I did it. And I went.
Mr. T.
I swear, I've got the pictures, not only of Mr. T's jewellery on his dressing room table, all those things he used to hang around his neck. So can I take a picture of your jewels?
Oh.
Sure thing, yeah, okay. And I've got a lovely picture of him and Martha, and they are just being, and they're very posing, and they're being very straight. And I took the pictures dead straight, just having the photographs taken together. I said, is that it? And they both looked at me and they said, pardon me. And I said, well, is that how much you like each other? Is that it? And suddenly they gave each other the biggest hug and the biggest smile. Click, got it.
I tell you what, Mike, what we've got to do another time is to talk to you literally about those anecdotes and those moments in time, as long as it's not taking too much from a future tour.
Excuse me, pal, you'll be here all year. That's the trouble with me, Richard, as you well know.
I do.
I go off on tangents. We were talking about Martha Reeves, and how long have you got? Do you want to hear about Martha and Lilly the Pink?
Well, yes, please, because I've got Lilly the Pink ready to play, actually.
Oh, have you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, listen to... so just before you play it, say, OK, Mike, now you can go away now. Get on with your writing of your speech for the elderly wine edge, the supporting Skin Awareness Charity and Melanoma Task Force UK. You write your speech for that. But before you go, can you tell us the stories about Lilly the Pink? And then we'll put it on and everyone can hear it with a new dimension.
Isn't that cool? Oh, okay. Can you tell us when that... Is it going to be a single released?
Well, I don't know. As I said, that is now on a back burner.
Yeah.
Because the documentary they're talking about is a bit more in-depth than they were talking about. It would be fascinating, but that's now. I've got other things to do, and so they're getting on with that. If it does happen, it will be wonderful, and we will get an absolute fortune for breast cancer awareness.
Yes, that would be brilliant. That was superb. A great idea. And of course, Peter, I mean, they're very talented guys anyway.
Well, I'm doing the Danny Baker show on Saturday morning. Peter Kay is Danny Baker's dad in From Cradle to Grave.
It's brilliant, that. Superb.
Yeah. Mm. So that's why I'm doing the Baker show. And talking about music, if you listen to the last one on October, the Cradle to Grave television show on the telly now, BBC 2, the last one, I think it's October the 22nd, which is the 8th and final episode. I'd mentioned to Peter Kay that, I've just seen in the paper that somebody called Peter Kay is on this new program called From the Cradle to the Grave. He's called Peter Kay. Obviously, that's not you, because you're a northerner, and this Peter Kay is playing his dad as a joke, you see. And I said, but to make you aware, I am on the final one, and I have heard that my record Woman is played on the final thingy. It features heavily. And he wrote back and he said, it is, I've seen it. I won't tell you what he said, but he said it'll bring a tear to your eye.
Very moving.
Well, you'll see.
Yeah. Well,
so
look out for that.
That's weird about music. You're talking about music. I haven't done music for years, and all these things are coming up.
Well, that's a whole different conversation, because at the moment what we're talking about is your exhibition at the St George's Hall in Liverpool. Go and see it, basically.
Well, what do you mean? You go and see it, and all your loyal listeners.
That's it, yeah.
You come up and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, but you know how tight I am. I mean...
No, my goodness, we've done that all our lives. I think Roz will be the first... confirmation there.
I know, trouble there, man. Trouble at Mill. Listen, so what I've got to say now then is go away, Mike McCartney, and don't forget to work on your speech for, what can one say, Lilly the Pink for skin awareness and cancer?
No, this one is just for Irene Parker Skin Awareness Charity and the Melanoma Task Force UK in Alderley Edge tonight as a charity thing, raising awareness. So that's what I have to do. Immediately I put this phone down. But just before you play Lilly the Pink, have you got a second?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell all your loyal listeners, when you're listening to this record that's about to come on, ba-bong, ba-bong, bong, ba-bong, 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 ba-bong. Listen to the bass drum. So it's boom, 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 okay?
Yeah.
And next time I come on, I will tell you the secret of whose bass drum it is and who plays it.
Oh, that's not fair. You can't do that. You've got to tell us now.
I'm going to leave you some others. If you've got time, I might tell you that at the end. You probably won't have time. Because the first thing is, are you aware that I was looking through, this is Abbey Road Studios.
Yeah.
When you came into Abbey Road Studios in the old days, 60s, there was a gentleman on the right that is involved in the bass drum story, who was an Irish gentleman who was on the door, which I'll tell you for the other story. Then you go through, on the left is number 3 studio,
right,
where Pink Floyd used to do all their stuff. They were never out of there. You go through the corridors down to the Resi, the cafe downstairs, or a bit further on, I climbed down the stairs into number 2, where our Kid and Scaffold did all their main recording. And then if you went downstairs, came out of number 2, into the back, you go to the 1 studio, which is the great big one, where All You Need Is Love was taped.
Yeah.
Me and Jagger and Clappo and all that were there for that.
I've seen you on that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there.
Sitting there.
In the lap of the gods there. But that studio, same studio, was where we recorded Lilly The Pink.
Right.
I don't know why, just a great thing. But we had session week. Scaffold can't play instruments, so we always had top session men.
Listen, Mr. McCartney, I have to say goodbye.
Oh, good. Okay, quickly.
I've got to say goodbye.
I'm going to tell you this for all your listeners. The bass player on the Lilly The Pink is Jack Bruce from Cream. When you listen to Jennifer Eccles, Had Terrible Freckles, it's not Roger McGough. It is actually Graham Nash from the Hollies and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. That'll do you for now.
That's fantastic. Thank you. That's wonderful. I'm listening.
Do you want to know a secret? And wait till you hear Graham Nash. It is so obviously Graham Nash. You're going to love it.
But only when you hear it, and you think of that, then you'll get it, won't you?
Honestly, when you hear it, it is so Graham.
Well, listen, Mike, thank you so much for joining me again this afternoon. As always, lots of love, and get on with your gardening. And while you're doing your gardening...
I've done my grass.
You've done that, have you?
Yes.
It's all sorted. Good man. That's something I've got to do for the weekend. Anyway, so we're going to end with Lilly The Pink, and it's got a little bit of a bit of an intro. Do you want to have a listen? Here we go. Cheers, Mike.
Ta-la.
Ta-la.
Bye.
We'll drink to Lilly The Pink, the Pink, the Pink, the saviour of the human race. For she invented medicinal compound, most efficacious in every case. Mr. Fleas had sticky out ears, and it made him awful shy, and so they gave him medicinal compound, and now he's learning how to fly. Brother Tony was known to be bony. He would never eat his meals, and so they gave him medicinal compound. Now they move him round on wheels. We'll drink to Lilly The Pink, the Pink, the Pink, the saviour of the human race. For she invented medicinal compound, most efficacious in every case. Old Ebenezer thought he was Julius Caesar, and so they put him in a home where they gave him medicinal compound, and now he's emperor of Rome. Johnny Hammer had a terrible sister, just his grandma. He could hardly say a word, and so they gave him medicinal compound. Now he's seen, never heard. Drink to Lilly The Pink, the Pink, the Pink, the saviour of the human race. For she invented medicinal compound, most efficacious in every case. Auntie Millie ran willy-nilly when her legs they did reach.
for echoes, had terrible freckles, and the boys all called her names. But she changed with medicinal compound. Now he joins in all the game. Drink a Lilly the Pink, the savior of the human race. For she invented medicinal compound, most efficacious in every case. Lilly the Pink, she turned to drink, she filled up with paraffin inside, and despite her medicinal compound, sadly Piccadilly died. Up to heaven, her soul ascended. All the church bells they did ring. She took with her medicinal compound. Hark the herald angels sing. The savior of the human race, for she invented medicinal compound, those medications
Richard Oliff.
102.3 HFM.